Dan Illman, Mike Muir, race number 9 at the fairgrounds on Saturday is the Grade 2 $400,000 New Orleans Classic. Let's take a look at this field of some nice older handicap horses traveling a mile and an eighth, and that could be very key in the outcome of this race. The boss of the Fairgrounds Handicap Division is the number 6, Silver Dust. He has wonderful tactical speed. You've got an up-and-comer from the Todd Pletcher barn named Chess Chief, and a couple of other horses that certainly have races good enough to take this Grade 2 event. I want to throw up the Timeform US pace projector because the number 3 Fearless, the number 6 Silver Dust, I agree with Timeform US. I think they're going to be 1-2 out of there. Fearless has shown good speed in his first 2 starts, and just the sky's the limit, it appears, from a talent perspective.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. He actually, in that allowance race last time, the first time they stretched him out, he actually went a pretty enterprising pace in there, and he was still going at the end. But he does have Silver Dust to beat, and Silver Dust is a very tactical horse.
Lone Sailor, the number 1, second in the 2018 Louisiana Derby, finally got a victory last time out at Oaklawn Park on January the 31st. He got a wet track that he likes, and we're going to take a look at that race right now. He's favored. We know his running style. Lone Sailor just doesn't have a lot of early speed, but he comes with a nice, honest run just about each and every time, and he finally found a field he could beat. The runner-up came back to run second again in an optional claimer with an 89 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, the class relief was obviously key in this race. He got a little bit, down into an allowance race, which he needed. The thing with him, Dan, is his gameness has never been questioned. He's a very game horse. It just feels like the graded stakes level races are a little bit too tough for him. I think he actually fits really well in this field. I'm not going to be surprised if he gets a piece of this.
Sonneteer was second in the Rebel Stakes way back in 2017, and it looked like Keith DeZormo found this horse's whole card when he stretched him way out at Churchill Downs on April the 30th of last year, winning a marathon by over 7. They ran him in the Brooklyn after that race. Let's talk a little bit about Brooklyn Day at Belmont. Of course, it was Belmont Stakes Day. You wanted to be near the inside. The winner of that race, Marconi, wired the field. What did you think of Sonneteer's trip? Because it was a career best Beyer speed figure performance on a fast track, and he was only beaten a length.
I thought he ran pretty well in that race. I agree with you. I think the added distance of those 2 races right before the layoff last year really did this horse some good, and I think it allowed him to find his really good form. Unfortunately for him, he didn't run again after the Brooklyn. He came off the layoff last time. I'm looking at the turf race as a prep last time. I think he's going to take a step forward in this race.
I do agree with you. He did finish ahead of 2 next out winners in the Brooklyn, including a horse that came back to win a graded stake with a triple-digit buyer. I am merely treating that turf race as just giving him one, sort of like the Sir Winston treatment. That horse ran on the turf first off the layoff, and then we saw him fire. Sonneteer, I think, has a little bit more tactical speed than shown, at least in longer distance races. I still think he'll be trying to get into it from the back of the pack. Here's Fearless. Here's his race at Gulfstream Park for Todd Pletcher, the 99 buyer blowout. He won the race by almost 9 lengths. He pushed the pace early. He drew away. This race on the heels of a debut victory sprinting. This is more like it from the Todd barn. We're used to seeing this over the years.
Yeah, it's true. His debut was actually pretty good because he doesn't look like a horse who really wants to sprint, but he sort of got it done on talent alone after a duel in that race. And he just crushed that field last time. I mean, they actually went a legitimate pace in there, Dan. They had to ride him from the start to make the lead, but once he settled in, he put that field to bed pretty nicely in there. It looks like this horse has a ton of upside.
Dallas Stewart managed the number 4 Chess Chief really nicely last year, picking up some big checks, went second in the West Virginia Derby, third in the Oklahoma Derby, and it appears this horse is slowly rounding back into form. He beat a weak field last time out at the fairgrounds, Mike, but Chess Chief is the kind of horse that I think has shown a little bit more tactical speed as he's gotten older. Does he have to improve from a buyer standpoint? Yes, against this tough field of older horses.
I think he does too. I respect the fact that he got it done last time. I mean, he was the heaviest of favorites in there and just did what he had to do in there to get clear at the end of the race. But I don't think, I feel like even with some competitive figures in this race, I still think he's got to improve to beat this field.
Tenfold is just a really tough Tough read for me. This horse won the Pimlico Special when he just got a beautiful pace and trip scenario. After that, though, for a barn that usually manages them very well, puts them in spots where they can win, he put this horse in the Pacific Classic, the Stephen Foster, the Lucas Classic. Then he caught a couple of wet tracks. Then they ran him in the Pegasus World Cup. Tenfold has been a little bit overmatched in some of those races. I think he's going to appreciate this level of competition. It's just whether he can get any pace to run at because he has no early speed.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they've really managed this horse like they think he's the goods, right? I mean, even as a 3-year-old, before all those races you just listed, they went Arkansas Derby, 3rd career start, Preakness, Belmont, Travers. I mean, they obviously like this horse. I've been disappointed with his form since the Pimlico Special. And as you say, his running style just leaves him with so much to do, especially in a race like this that may not be run fast early.
Conversely, Silver Dust has a great running style. We saw it on the pace projector. He's likely to sit second off of Fearless early, and he just has that tactical speed where he can be placed wherever the jockey wants. He's coming off of a win in the Grade 3 Mine Shaft last time out, where he was steadied a bit in the opening furlong, but once he got off the rail, he found a really smooth tracking spot. He made the lead. He got a little bit goofy in the stretch, but he held them off, and he ran his usual race. You know what you're getting from him. It's usually a buyer between 95 and 98. The big bugaboo for Silver Dust throughout his career has been the 1 1/8. He's just never been able to see it out for one reason or another, even with his tactical speed. Does that worry you at a short price here?
I mean, it worries me just because he's probably going to be the favorite in the race. But when I look at him, Dan, I sort of feel like as he's gotten older, I don't worry about the distance for him as much anymore. I just think he's really found himself in the last year or so. And I just like his form coming into this race. I am not against this horse. By any means. I think he's going to be a short price, but I'm using him.
And perhaps one of the reasons is he was a bit of a problem child behind the gate early in his career. He expanded a lot of energy getting into the gate, pulling early. He now seems to settle a lot better. Maybe that'll help him get the 9. Captivating Moon is also cross-entered in the Muniz Memorial Classic on the turf. He's done some good things on dirt. But again, it seems like right now on dirt, he wants it wet.
Yeah, true. And he just doesn't have any speed either, which is a big problem for him. We talked about him before in the other race. I just prefer him as a turf horse, Dan.
I think the 8 by my standards is very dangerous in this race. He won the Louisiana Derby at a big price last year. They ran him in the Kentucky Derby fine. He disappeared. I like that they gave him a lot of time after that race. And what can you say about his comeback? It was as easy as pie. And yes, he's supposed to win like that at 1-2, but I just love the way he got right up close to the pace. He was never losing, and he could have gone around again.
It's very true. As far as prep races go off of layoffs, you can't ask for anything more than that. He looked really good winning that race. They never really asked him for too much, and now they step him right back up into graded stakes competition. I think he's a dangerous horse in here. And I say that as somebody who wasn't really sold on him as a 3-year-old. Even after he won the Louisiana Derby, he got such a perfect trip in that race that I wasn't sold on him, but he looked really good last time.
And not to be outdone, his gun at all he did cost $2 million as a Keeneland September yearling. And you can argue that this horse still has some upside potential, placed in a couple of graded stakes races at this meet. I thought he had a look at it last time out in the Mine Shaft. He hung on his left lead all the way down to the wire, easily outrunning his 30-1 odds. I'm sure the connections are saying that was a race in which maybe this horse is starting to fulfill the potential that he showed as an early horse. From this outside post position, he's going to have to work out a trip.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I was encouraged by his last race too, though, just because they also took him back off the pace, which they hadn't really done previously, and he still ran. I thought he ran well in there. He seems like he's getting better from race to race. Can he take one more step forward?
Top pick time for the New Orleans Classic. Folks at home know I'm a glutton for punishment. I pick Silver Dust just about every time he tries a 1 1/8, and he always runs very well, and he always gets beat. Mike, how good is this Fearless? Is he a budding star in the handicap division?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out a lot about that on Saturday when they run him in this race. I'm just going to take him because it just feels like Pletcher's found a really good spot for him. I mean, there's some good horses in here, but there's no, the stars of the division are not in this race, and this horse did look really good winning last time.
Mike's going with the 2-speed number on Timeform US's projector. He likes 3, 6, 8, 9. I'm hoping Silver Dust can stay within range of Fearless, and maybe his experience will make the difference. when they swing into the stretch. It's the Grade 2 New Orleans Classic on Louisiana Derby Saturday at the fairgrounds. This race has an approximate post of 310 Central. Good luck.